All right, good morning. This is John. This is going to be a quick run through. I did another video. It was about 20 minutes long going through the surf report. Anyway, today we're just going to run through really quick. I had an exercise doing that one, so we're gonna try and do this in about 5 minutes, if that. So when you open up SurfCraft.App, go to your Check Surf or your Find Surf. Find Surf will open that up. Check Surf will run you through the location. So we're going to go ahead and type Oceanside Pier in here. We'll just use that as an option to bring up the display. So going really quick, here's your location. Here's your confirming your location, your day, your longitude, latitude. This is your selected hour. So if you notice, if I go down here, there's a selected hour, and if I change this, it will change the report for the hour. So just be aware of that when you read the top, it's for the selected hour, 6 a.m. Swell data is raw data. If you hover over those, you will get an explanation of where that information is coming from. That's not SurfCraft generated. That is derived from different models and information that are pulled into SurfCraft, which then calculates based on its own logic what the estimated wave face height will be. So remember, it's for the hour. This number is going to change depending on what hour you're on. That's raw data. That's not my data. That's just raw data we get for free. Estimated wave face height, make sure you read that hover tip there. It explains what goes into that. There's a lot of controversy and ways of looking at that depending on where you're at, what different people think and so forth. So don't get too wrapped up in whether or not that's right or wrong. Just make sure you understand what the raw swell conditions are. That's the real data there. All right, dropping down here, we have we do have a colorblind option, and make sure you understand you can go to this quick report right there. There's options on the left and the right, so you see it. That brings up something you can have on a screen if you want to pull this up and just have that running, on your wall or something like that. You can do that. Then you have the basic surf summary. So that's where this is. You do have cams available. These are based on YouTube links. So if you go to the cam, it'll typically go to YouTube. That's Oceanside Pier this morning. Obviously, you got some pretty nice surf going on there. I would say that looks to be about 4 to 6 foot, maybe a little bit larger faces. Just excellent conditions. It looks pretty clean, just at a quick view. Hardly any wind at all, so we can go back here and look at that. Yep, 6 foot. It's looking pretty good. Excellent conditions. And if we go down here, we can sort of see the little radar. You can zoom into that. You can put it right on the pier if you want, which is kind of neat. But anyway, so you do have that surf cam. Those are links. Sometimes they fall off, so I try to go back in there and update those regularly, so just be aware of that. All right, coming across, you have your swell height, estimated wave face height. That's what is in the bars here. These are not swell heights, these are estimated wave face heights, so just be aware. If you want to know how these bars are created, go back up and hover over the explanation right there. You have you have the selector here. You can do this with either the selector or the slider. The pictures behind the tide graph. This is a tide graph here. They kind of switch depending on the conditions. So you'll see the little picture there change based on the conditions. So if you get in there and see something like that, you're like, oh wait, hey, what's going on? That looks like good surf today. You do have a La Jolla buoy here, so you're going to get that buoy reading right there. And then you have a buoy reading there. If you don't see a buoy reading, it's because there is no buoy. But when there is a buoy, it can spike these bars because it's digesting that live buoy reading. We'll talk about that in a minute. Controls over here are primarily for your display. You can change how things are displayed depending on how many different things you have open over here. You can display it, split screen and so forth. You can play around with that. The scan and the wave finder and the find surf options are all ways to quickly locate surf breaks with GPS and visual indications and so forth. So that's what those things are. All right, so over here on the right we have the hourly breakdown, every hour of the day and all the different contributors. Red is bad, green is good. All that stuff's being measured. All these different things are being measured and calculated to create your surf quality. So all these contributors do that, and then you have the wave. If you look at the card there, you go down, it says wave height WW3 to break. That's a calculation that's done. There's a little bit of logic going in there, and all the other factors that are being calculated behind the scenes to give you that final score. So again, it's raw data, estimated wave face height, break specific information, reef, beach, point break, all that kind of stuff taken into consideration, swell alignment, swell doorway, island blocking from different things and so forth. So that's what's going on there. So we have the hourly, we have the swell breakdown. You can toggle different labels, wind, sea, all this stuff. So it can get really cluttered. You can make that stuff go away if you want. I could take all the labels off and make it nothing, or just bring them in and turn everything on. So that's what that is. You have your windy that you can compare the two. Windy is coming from a different source. I put that in there so you can compare the different things and get a better understanding of what's going on before you take a drive or plan a trip. Here's your wind and swell radar. It does say wind. Make sure you're aware there's also swell analysis going on here. You have your model reading right there, and you have your live buoy right there. I think there's a 41 minutes ago on the live buoy check, and then the raw data for WW3 that isn't quite as frequent, but you can compare the two. You will get a, by the way, the surf summary here. That's logic that goes into that summary. That's not me typing that in there. It goes in, and there's a matrix based on all the different things that are going on, and it puts together that summary, and it gives you an understanding of the open media data and the buoy that's going in there. Let's see where. So we ended up in the wind, swell. We got the hourly readout there. If you go to week, this is a cool feature that shows you the conditions through each day. So if you just take a glance, you can see it's good in the morning. It starts out in the morning, it ends in the end of the day for that break. Any one of these are prevailing conditions, so you typically have good conditions in the morning. It gets a little rough in the afternoon and so forth. That's typical of the West Coast. But if I go to a place like Chopu and I type that in here, we'll go back to, I'll show you what goes on. You can do this dynamically, so you don't even have to change screens. So I just jumped to Chopu, and I'm on the week page already, so you can see the prevailing conditions on an island like this, or it can stay good all day long. So that's neat. And if you go back up here, you see the conditions for Chopu, and all the same stuff is there for that break. So you can just change a condition, and you don't have to change the screen. It'll just show up on whatever page you're on. So we were there. Weather for the day. Tides are a little different. So here we have world tides. That's because Chopu is international. If we go back to, we can back up all the way out of this, and we can go to Doheny, for instance, and we can check that. And we have NOAA. So you get tides from different sources depending on the location. All right, map 1. This is windy. You can use the information, or the little pop-up right there from windy. That's directly tied to windy itself. We have some other controls for the windy map in SurfCraft just to get to things a little quicker. But that's windy, and then we have different sources right there within windy. So that's all windy. That map 1 is windy. Map 2 is just a satellite view. And we have a topo map and a street map, and that's just for planning. That's just a little added feature. We do have a buoy button, so you can see the live source there. last observation universal time, so you'll need to convert that to your local time. And then I think this will be your time based on your browser time or the time that you check. So it's pretty quick. It'll do it'll cache for a certain amount of time before it does a new reading, but typically it's pretty quick, within an hour, I think. Then you have swell energy. Nothing there really to look at too much. Data. This is break specific. Some of these are just default information, basic information. Some of the breaks, like Chopu, if I go back to that though, I've done some tailoring in there where it'll bring up more information in that page. So here you can see there's break intelligence calculated into this break. So this and breaks like pipeline will have quite a bit more information in here. Pipeline will show you actually when the first reef, second reef, third reef, and all that's going off and so forth. So there's logic behind the surf report and the scoring and these bars depending on the break and so forth. I'll just show you that real quick with pipe. So pipeline, if I go to the data screen, you can see here when these become active based on the swell, these will start going off. So lots of extra information tailored in. So I'm a one-man show, so as I get to the other 400 surf breaks, I'll consider tailoring more, but I definitely want to hit the top breaks there as the app matures. So there you go. That's it in a nutshell. You got your alert. You can click on that, play around with that. But anyway, I'm John. Thanks for watching, and be safe out there.